and my name is Anton Savage. I'm going to be your host, MC, whatever you want to call it, for the next hour or so. Unfortunately, we can't do it in person, face-to-face, in some salubrious surroundings over a fancy lunch because the Greeks put so many letters in their alphabet. We will nonetheless do our best to recognise the great work that has been done in Irish business journalism across the last year. And of course, we're looking at a broad spectrum of media in these awards because possibly 14 installments ago, it might have been much more a print and possibly broadcast thing. But digital plays very heavily now, obviously, in the journalism world and plays very heavily in these awards. The judges hugely impressed with the quality of the entries across the digital and, of course, across the more traditional ends of the business media spectrum. To extend our celebrations, do feel free to use the hashtag Smurfit Awards on all your social media channels. So that is hashtag Smurfit Awards. And we're going to do our best to lash through proceedings fairly efficiently and get you all done at 1 o'clock, at which point you can crack open whatever champagne or anything else you feel is appropriate. So without further ado, I would like to invite Professor Geraldine Doyle, who is Director of the UCD Smurfit School and Associate Dean of the College of Business, to open proceedings.
On behalf of UCD Michael Smurfit Graduate Business School, I am delighted to welcome you to the 2021 Business Journalists Awards. With so many changes over the past 20 months, we are proud to return, albeit in a virtual format, to celebrate and recognise the importance of great business journalism in Ireland. With greater complexity throughout the world of business, not least the monumental impact of the global pandemic, the expertise needed to analyse and report with clarity is increasingly important. So it is fitting, as Ireland's foremost business school, that we recognise and reward these standards of excellence. We thank you for your dedication in distilling complex issues into powerful yet accessible language that allows us, your readers and listeners, to make sense of major financial issues which impact our lives. As a global leader in business education, we continue to aim higher and set the pace as leaders in transformative learning experiences and innovative partnerships. Increasingly, we have found that our community is driving us to lead initiatives that address societal challenges head-on. Relevant to our ceremony today, and in particular on the topic of gender equality, we would like to see greater diversity in applications for the Business Journalists Awards. We wish to play an active part in encouraging more diversity in Irish business journalism and will work with the industry on supporting this important initiative over the coming months. We are asking for your support in these endeavours and look forward to partnering with you to ensure that diligent and critical analysis continues to evolve and is representative of our entire community. A final word of gratitude before we begin the ceremony. I wish to extend our sincere thanks to my fellow judges for their energy, enthusiasm and hard work in reviewing and shortlisting entries. The panel were looking for pieces that broke new ground and contained a depth of research and something special for the reader. We were thrilled to receive so many quality entries. A special word of thanks to Bríde Donoghue for her commitment and professionalism in so ably chairing the judging panel. Now, I will pass over to our award ceremony host, the esteemed Anton Savage.
Thank you very much, Geraldine. The check is in the post for the word esteemed. It's the first time it has ever been used in connection with me before. Okay, we will move on to reveal the winners of the 2021 UCD Smurfit School Business Journalist Awards. We have a shortlist of 23 journalists shortlisted across 6 categories. And for each of those 6 categories, we're going to announce the shortlist, then reveal the winner, and we'll then ask the winner to say a few words. So our first category is Business News Story of the Year. And the Business News Story of the Year recognizes a story which is a news item of significance about either a business or a sector of the economy. The category rewards quick reactions, fast background research. It needs to be a breaking story. It should either be of general interest or have a strong impact on the subject of the story, the sector within which it operates, or the wider stakeholders. The articles should display excellent research, initiative, and investigative ability, and it should be precise and obviously factual. The shortlisted nominees are Joe Brennan for the Irish Times, Peter O'Dwyer, the Business Post, and Barry J. White, the Business Post. And I am delighted to announce that the winner of the Business News Story of the Year is Joe Brennan of the Irish Times. And Joe's article entitled NatWest May Wind Down Ulster Bank in the Republic was described by the judges as a proven, accurate and prescient account of national significance. And that prescience being particularly important because Joe was ahead of the actual departure of Ulster by several months in the instance of this story. Big congratulations to Joe Brennan. Joe, would you like to say a few words?
Thanks a million, Anton. First of all, I'd like to thank the UCD Business School, Smurfit Business School, for hosting these awards, particularly in these kind of trying times. I think it's really appreciated by business journalists that you've put this together, and hopefully we'll all be in the same room next year. I'd also like to thank the members of the judging panel for considering me in this category and also for this award. I really appreciate it. I'd also like to thank my own immediate editors, Kieran Hancock and Dominic Coyle, and the Irish Times editor, Paul O'Neill, for their help and support in relation to this particular story. And I'd also like to acknowledge the rest of the Irish Times business team. They're a terrific team to work with. And finally, I just wish to, wish the other nominees the very best of luck this afternoon in these awards. Thank you.
Joe, thank you again, and fair play. It is unusual to see an article so far advanced of the story be so absolutely bang on the nose. Congratulations again to Joe Brennan. We move now to our second category, which is the Business Podcast of the Year. And this is a new award. It recognizes one episode of a podcast that tells a compelling story or reveals a new business insight into a sector, story, or topic. And what the judges were looking for was an episode that was created in a way that keeps listeners engaged, is edited to ensure that ideas emerge in a clear way, and that is compelling overall. The nominees are Aoife Barry, Ian Curran, Sinead O'Carroll and Nikki Ryan from The Journal, and Gavin McLoughlin from News Talk. And the winner of the Business Podcast category is Gavin McLoughlin from News Talk. And what the judges said was that Gavin's winning podcast entry, it's entitled Taking Stock, The Reformation of Welfare, The New Faith of the Labour Market with Dr. Ray Griffin. The judges felt that it took an unlikely academic publication on welfare and work and drew out the best of what the authors had to say, helping them to make it relevant to a wider audience. Big congratulations, Gavin. And nice to be able to give an award to what is now a new colleague. It's something else to achieve an award for a podcast entitled, or an episode entitled, The Reformation of Welfare. Fair play to you.
Well, fair play to Ray Griffin, who obviously I think the good interviewee is probably the key to it all. So thanks very much to Ray. I definitely owe him a pint. Thanks also to the judges for picking me over very strong competition. I'm delighted to win. I want to thank News Talk and particularly my colleagues Simon Keane, Garrett Mulhall and Stephen Jordan, who work with me on the piece. And lastly, I just want to thank my partner Alison and son Oliver, who've had to put up with a lot of early starts. So thanks, Anton. Thanks, everyone. And hope to see you all in person again soon.
Congratulations, Gavin. It is well deserved. All right, our next category on the schedule is Business Feature of the Year. And this is awarded for a colourful, well-constructed and analytical profile or a feature showcasing great journalism. The idea is that the judges were asked to look for stories that gave a deeper look at an issue, or that through a broadcast or written article facilitated greater understanding of a topic among the general public or the business community. And the shortlisted candidates are Thomas Hubert from The Currency, Tom Lyons, also The Currency, Fergal O'Connor, The Sunday Independent, and Charlie Taylor, The Irish Times. And the winner of the Business Feature category is Tom Lyons from The Currency. And Tom won for a piece entitled Davy in Disgrace Part 1, the Belfast developer, the Davy bond dealer and the ex-Anglo banker. It was described by the judging panel as an excellent and enjoyable long read, which was well researched, telling a highly complex story in an understandable and very engaging way. It is an epic piece. Huge congratulations to Tom. Tom, would you like to say a few words?
I'd just like to say thank you to the team in the Currency for all of their support, both Ian as editor and all of our fellow journalists, as well as the legal team who had to read the piece. And I'd like to say thank you to the Smurfit School and all of the judges. And just finally, thank you to all of the other business journalists who covered the Davy story alongside with me. And I think it was a great testament to informal teamwork across all the different titles that everybody came at it with a different, fresh and original angle. And it was just great to be part of it. What was a big story.
It's also great to see that you don't travel alone, Tom, that Ian is always close by.
Too close.
Huge congratulations, because I had the pleasure to read it. And it's one of those where, because the story had so many layers and went on for so long, it is difficult to recall the totality of it. And when you sort of sit down with a cup of coffee and a bun and go back to the start for the Davy in Disgrace piece, it just makes for the most entertaining read. So it is well deserved. Congratulations, Tom.
Thank you.
We'll move on now to the Specialist Business Reporter of the Year award. And the Specialist Business Reporter of the Year recognises in-depth reporting in specialist business fields. The judges were asked to look for stories that would be of general public interest or make complex issues in the specialist area understandable to broader audiences. And the 4 shortlisted candidates are Roisin Burke for the Business Post, Shane Phelan for the Irish Independent, Niall Sargent, Noteworthy, and Killian Woods, the Business Post. And the winner of the Specialist Business Reporter category is Killian Woods of the Business Post. And Killian won for 2 pieces. State invested in cuckoo fund that snapped up hundreds of Maynooth homes, and many first-time buyers will be frozen out of purchasing new apartments. The judges described them as excellent examples of specialist business reporting. The articles combined the breaking of a very important story with a very informative, nuanced and balanced analysis, with the potential to enrich important national debates around the regulation of the Irish housing market, as well as playing a role in changing public discourse and prompting legislative change. Big congratulations to Killian. Killian, would you like to say a few words?
Thanks so much, Anton. Thanks to everyone in the Smurfit School for running these awards. I think it's said by Joe before, and Tom, we do really appreciate you run these. And yeah, it's a bit of shock. That's great. Thank you so much. If anything, it's a nice vindication of the work we've been doing, but also it's nice to be able to maybe give a call back to the special advisor in the government who said that wasn't a news story on the Monday morning after we published. That's very healthy. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's always the best sign. And it has to be said, Killian, the one thing that the judges were very clear on was the capacity to convert that which might be otherwise esoteric into something that was impactful to a broader audience and influential on a broader audience, which is no mean feat. Congratulations again. We will move on now to our 5th category, which is Business Interview of the Year. And this award recognises an interview with a business person or person of significant influence to the business community. And what the judges were looking for was a piece that gave rich insights into the subject of the interview or their business or their sector. And the interview ultimately facilitates a greater understanding of the interviewee is the ideal thing, or that it gives a greater understanding of the industry in which they operate or the kind of influences that are being brought to bear on them. The shortlisted candidates are Tom Lyons from The Currency, Donald McNamee, The Business Post, Laura Slattery, The Irish Times, Killian Woods, The Business Post. And the winner of the business interview category is Killian Woods of The Business Post. And Killian's interview with property developer Johnny Ronan was described by the judges as well-structured, well-researched, offering a broad spectrum of insights not only into the business dealings of the interviewee, but also into his character and his inner circle. Congratulations, Killian. It feels like I haven't seen you in ages. Would you like to say a few words?
I suppose, yeah, there's no one left to thank except Johnny Ronan himself. Thank you very much to Johnny for giving the interview. Took a bit of trickery to get him to do the interview. I had to essentially convince him all his friends were talking crap about him, and that prompted him to talk. So thank you, Johnny Ronan. And thanks to the Smurfit School again. Again, we really appreciate the Smurfit School running all these awards, and we do appreciate them as business journalists.
It was one of the interesting things about the piece to read. It was where you say his friends talking crap about him. You literally have people quoted in it who describe themselves as his friends and then go on to talk crap about him. So very revealing, very interesting piece. Congratulations and welcome back to have two in a row. All right. We move now to the upcoming journalists of the category, of the year category. And thankfully, Killian is long established, so he can't possibly win this one. This category recognizes and rewards up and coming talent in business journalism. This year, the nominees are Devin Seán Martin, The Currency; Sarah Taff Maguire, The Business Post; Jill Steadman, RTE. And the winner of the upcoming Journalist of the Year category is Devin Seán Martin, The Currency. And the judges described Devin's submissions on Virgin Media, Irish export costs, and Irish startups in the space industry as well structured and well researched. The pieces were described as informative, impactful, and displaying broad depth and understanding of the topics covered, each of which were of significant importance and public interest. Congratulations, Devin. Would you like to say a few words?
Absolutely. Thank you. I think I'll start off here this afternoon by saying I cannot say enough about how grateful I am to Tom Lyons and Ian Keogh for essentially picking me up off the streets less than a year ago as just, a college student looking for an opportunity to write, and for giving me that opportunity. It has been a tremendous experience so far with that publication. I also need to give a massive thank you to Thomas Hubert, who has been sort of my de facto mentor over the past year. And of course, massive thanks to UCD and the judges for the nomination and the award. Thank you very much.
It's an interesting revelation, Devin, that I knew that The Currency was doing things in relatively new way compared to traditional media, but the recruitment approach is gathering people off the streets.
Who would have thought,
huh? Well, it has paid off significantly in your instance. Congratulations, Devin. Devin is the winner for the up-and-coming business journalist for 2021. We now move on to two fairly significant awards. In fact, the two most significant awards. The first of those is for an individual. The second is for contribution to industry. So we will kick off with the Outstanding Achievement Award for an individual journalist. So this is an award presented by the judging panel to someone whose work has enhanced the understanding of business across years and who has inspired other journalists to follow suit. It's a special award, and it's one that the recipient might easily never have received. And that's because journalism was not our recipient's first or even second choice of study as a teenager. The awardee's first ambition was to study drama in London. And as it turned out, an interest in law took the recipient to Trinity College in Dublin, where an LLB was completed in 2000, then an MA in journalism, I should say, in DCU. Journalism was not even on the radar as an undergraduate, but storytelling has always been a significant part of our recipient's life. The possibility of journalism as a calling took shape post-graduation at a significant moment in this person's life in New York during 9/11. As a young person, our recipient saw journalism, like law, as a vocation, a chance to give voice to others, to hold power to account, and to make a difference, a view that recipient still fervently believes in today. I am, of course, talking about Dearbhail McDonald. Over the last 20 years, Dearbhail has written prolifically about legal affairs, religious affairs, health, politics, and business. She honed her craft at the Sunday Times. Later, as legal editor of the Irish Independent, she covered many of the most high-profile criminal and commercial law trials of our time. She made a pivot towards business journalism following the global financial crisis, and her coverage of the commercial court yielded extraordinary stories and insights about Ireland's property boom and bust, and ultimately led to her first book, Bust, published by Penguin in 2010. For much of her career, Dearbhail, co-founder of the Equality Expert Group and active member of Women on Air, has written about diversity and inclusion, the true significance of which was brought home to her when she was appointed Group Business Editor of INM in 2016. Dearbhail's journalism and leadership has been recognised many times over the years. She is a Global Eisenhower Fellow. She is recipient of the Mary Cummins Award for Women of Outstanding Achievement in Journalism. And she's also the recipient of an inaugural Dublin City University Special Alumni Achievement Award for her contribution to public affairs journalism. And she's an Irish Tatler Media Woman of the Year. In 2018, she received the UCD Michael Smurfit Business Journalism Award Business News Story of the Year, along with her former independent news and media colleagues Samantha McLoughlin and Shane Phelan. Throughout her career, Dearbhail has been an active board member, most recently with Fighting Words, the National Creative Writing Centre, as well as the Stephen's Green Trust. Today, she chairs the Strategy Committee of the Centre Culture Irlandais in Paris, reflecting her lifelong commitment to culture and her love of all things French. She's also kept busy with a portfolio of work that includes broadcasting with RTE and the BBC and writing for a range of publications, including Image Magazine, where she's lead writer for its business club. I'm told that if you ask Dearbhail about what has driven her success over her career and the values that underpin her work, she will readily tell you that journalism, at heart, is a public service. Writing the first draft of history is an extraordinary privilege, one that comes with enormous responsibility. On being told that she had won the UCD Smurfit Outstanding Achievement Award, Dearbhail had this to say: "To be recognised by the UCD Smurfit School for the small part that I have played in increasing our understanding of an often complex world is an incredible honour for me and the colleagues I've had the privilege of serving alongside. Dearbhail, today, it is our honour and privilege to recognise the work that you do in bringing that world into focus for all of us. So, distinguished guests, I am delighted to present Dearbhail McDonald with the 2021 UCD Smurfit School Outstanding Achievement in Business Journalism Award."
Thank you very much, Anton, and thank you to the members of the jury, to all of our colleagues and family and friends who are tuned in. There are many people on this call who know me well, and they'll know that I'm not often lost for words, but today is one such occasion. I am both honoured and humbled, truly, by today's award, which came from a bolt from the View, and Beth Gormley called me from the UCD Smurfit School. I thought it was my turn to serve on the jury, and never could have imagined that it was to receive this award. I never imagined that I would be following in the footsteps of my former boss, Frank Fitzgibbon, or that great newsroom sage, Brendan Keenan. But to find myself following in the footsteps of Frank, Brendan, Damien Kybert, Cliff Taylor, Richard Kern, Matt Cooper, Charlie Weston, Ingrid Miley, Tony Connolly, and Carling Lillington, to receive this, like them, the highest honour that we as business journalists in Ireland can receive, for me, is beyond words. As you've heard from Anton, I'm something of an accidental journalist, one who never thought she would make it through her first rookie year at the Sunday Times, let alone rise to the ranks of holding the position of Group Business Editor at INM, amongst other positions I've been so fortunate to hold. But in many respects, I think we're all business journalists, as the most important and contentious issues of our time, whether it's Brexit, housing, climate change, human rights, fertility trends, culture wars, trade wars, or GDPR, all of these issues involve business and the economy and money in some way, shape, or form. Business journalism is at the heart of all our major stories, as we've seen in all of the honorees and the shortlisted entries, all of which I had the opportunity to read throughout the year. But I think it has always been at the heart of all major stories. And I think that now more than ever, it's socioeconomic forces that are shaping and dictating the health, not just of our economies or societies, but the very heart of our democracies too. Now more than ever, we need dynamic talent to navigate what is arguably the most demanding and certainly the most competitive field in journalism, to dig deep and follow the money. We would say this on this call, wouldn't we? But I think that every journalist needs to learn the basic fundamentals of business journalism. Even if you don't want to specialise in business journalism, the skills that we learn and earn in business and finance are invaluable to every conceivable beat in our craft. To young and aspiring journalists, I would implore you to spend at least 6 months on a business desk. As for the editors, we should insist upon it and we should invest in it. It is both an honour but also heartening to be the third woman of 11 business journalists to receive this accolade, and it's a joy to see our female colleagues shortlisted today and in previous years. But if women are sadly lacking in senior positions in our society, whether it's in the Oireachtas, whether it's on boards or in our companies. It's the same in newsrooms, and it's even less so in our business desks. And it's a ratio that needs to be rebalanced if we are going to meet the needs and the wants of 50% of our population. I was really heartened to hear Geraldine Doyle earlier talk about the need for more people to apply, for more diversity in our newsrooms, which of course extends beyond gender. But I was really heartened to hear that. And I would implore our newsroom leaders and those educating our young journalists to really try and lift the bar in this regard. Accepting today's award has compelled me to reflect on what feels like a lifetime sometimes in journalism. 20 years, I only thought it was going to be a couple of months. We're not always loved. I think we know on this call we're not always loved, but as the late Douglas Gageby, the former editor of the Irish Times, once wrote, journalism is a wonderful career. It's worth anyone's life's work, and I couldn't agree more. I'm proud to have been able to pursue a vocation and to still pursue it, one that lets us and everybody in this call take part in the thrilling and messy, if necessary, task of writing that first draft of history. And it's a privilege to bear witness to the times that we live in. That alone was sufficient enough for me in this career, but to be recognised in this way by the UCD Smurfit Business School Journalism Awards, to be recognised by a jury and such a distinguished panel of leaders in the worlds of business, academia and journalism is incredibly moving for me here sitting on my own in the house, wishing we were somewhere in a hotel in Dublin for joining each other in person. I want to thank the jury led by the redoubtable Bríd O'Donoghue, herself an extraordinary leader in the world of business, to the Business Journalists Association led by my former colleague Donal O'Donovan, and to all of those who were shortlisted and were winners here today. This award is not mine alone. It belongs to the pioneers that went before us, all of the recipients of this award, but many more. To the colleagues, to the mentors, to the editors, who are too numerous to mention. I also want to thank all of the rivals. I see several of them looking at me on my screen, who kept us on our toes and kept us constantly trying to get great stories over the line. There are certain people on this call and elsewhere who kept me awake at night, wondering what was going to appear in Morning Ireland. I thank you for keeping the standard so high, because it is a competitive and demanding field. But I suppose in that regard, the last time I was at these awards, it was in person with my colleagues Seán Phelan and Samantha McCaughrean when we received Business News Story of the Year all the way back in December 2018. I want to say thanks to them for their courage and support. And in particular, I want to thank my former colleagues at I&M, now Media House, for all of their support and courage during my tenure as Group Business Editor. I'm indebted to you all, and this award is yours today as well. So I'm looking forward, Anton, to raising a toast in real time when my cup of tea might have a little bubbles or be something more palatable instead. But once the current crisis subsides, I am overawed by today's award, and I cannot thank you all enough. Thank you.
Congratulations, Dearbhail, and what a magnificent speech. I'm sure we will come up with some kind of arrangement next year that when we're all in person, that we get to redo last year's Outstanding Achievement Award and give you a chance to celebrate. Big congratulations to Gavin McDonald there, who is the winner of our Outstanding Achievement Award for all of the contribution that she has made to business journalism and journalism on a broader footing, obviously, over the years. And there's one part that Dearbhail said there that I just want to echo before we move on to our final award, which is that call out for greater female participation and a broader representation of diversity in the people throwing their hats in the ring for the awards, because it was one of the things that the judges were very focused on, was saying, how can we convince more of the quality female business journalists who are operating in the country to shoot for some of these awards? So anything that anybody who is watching can do for next year to say, little nudge, would you throw in that piece that you wrote or that podcast that you made or your own nomination, or if there is somebody who you believe should be nominated, do please include them, because it is significant drive that the judges would like to see for next year. Now, on the topic of those judges, I think the word that Dearbhail used to describe her was redoubtable. She is chair of the Business Journalist Awards Judges Panel, and a superb chair at that. She's Bríd O'Donoghue, and she's going to present our final award. Bríd, obviously, former board member and group director at Primark. She continues now in an ambassadorial role for that firm, and she's a member of the UCD Smurfit School Irish Advisory Board.
Our final award today is a new award that was proposed by the judges to recognise an organisation that is changing how media is produced in Ireland through their groundbreaking work. an organisation that has a unique perspective, championing long-form business journalism on a digital platform, and which has been a welcome addition to our nation's media landscape. We are proud to present the first award of its kind, the Outstanding Achievement Industry Award to the Currency. Representing the organisation are, of course, the company's co-founders, Tom Lyons and Ian Keogh. The Currency is a unique departure in Irish journalism. The online publication offers readers in-depth analysis of the most important business stories of the day, as well as providing valuable retrospective on past events. It doesn't seek to compete with national newspapers, and it is not an alternative to them. Yet it is a valuable addition for readers to want a deeper dive into the story. The Currency follows its own agenda, and it is journalist-owned and led. Tom explained that at the Currency, they don't try to be first with the news, but they want to be the best at telling the story and telling it in a unique way. They try to find the stories no one else is thinking about. Now, 2 years into operation, the Currency has spent €1.2 million on journalism. Ian described how they want to invest in journalism. He feels, as we do, that business journalism matters. It's important that business journalism is done well and shines a light on those parts of society that some people would prefer remain hidden. Ian goes on to describe how business journalism came into its own during the last financial crisis. It moved from the business pages to the front pages, where journalists were able to explain highly complex stories to society at large. And he feels they are continuing that at the Currency. This award recognises the critical role that good journalism plays in our democracy and society. Its role in uncovering the truth and exposing falsehoods has probably never been more important. Tom said that at the Currency they try to be rigorously fair to business people and respectful towards them unless they're shown to be fraudsters. Ian added that as journalists, they see the best and the worst of people. They see people doing their best to grow businesses and create employment, and they also encounter corruption in different forms. It is certainly a fascinating industry, and we are glad that the Currency has joined the ranks of those doing outstanding work in business journalism. This award also recognises the courage it took to establish the organisation. From print journalists to business owners of a digital-only content provider, a steep learning curve was faced. Yet, little do they know that just 6 months after launching, another much larger learning curve loomed just ahead. The pandemic arrived. Instead of retrenching, the co-founders of the Currency decided to invest more in their journalism and try to grow through the crisis, which they did successfully. From a difficult birth, the Currency has gone on to thrive in its first 2 years in business. It has built up a membership base of 5,500 people, employs 8 people full-time, and has more than 20 regular contributors. It is also worth noting the commitment to equality espoused by Ian and Tom and the Currency. Of the 8 staff journalists, 5 are men and 3 are women. Distinguished guests, it is my distinct honour to congratulate the team at the Currency on their outstanding perseverance and dedication to business journalism and to present them with the first Outstanding Achievement Industry Award. I would now like to welcome Tom Lyons and Ian Keogh to say a few words. Cogorachas o chríle Tom agus Ian na Guinea Specialta.
I'd just like to thank Breege for her kind words, and I'll come on to the team in a moment, but I think she portrayed it as myself and Tom. I think it's what we've done here has been far more than that. And when we think about the team here, we think of the 8 staff that we have and the 20 people who write on a regular basis, many of which gave up, pretty much all of which gave up full-time jobs with other publications to come and work from us when we just had an idea. I'll talk about the team in a moment and I'll be brief, but I just want to congratulate and I suppose mention Dearbhail and all of the other winners and all of the other nominations. It's a high caliber cast throughout the last year, and I think it's really shown the role of business journalism in Ireland and what it can achieve. Briefly, just a couple of people. Thank you, obviously, to UCD and all of the judges for giving us this award. It's very welcome for myself, Tom, and all of the team. We want to acknowledge, Reid said there are 5,500 members. We wouldn't be able to do this, and we wouldn't be able to keep on investing in the product and keep on investing in the team if people weren't willing to pay to read the content. So thanks to all of those, and hopefully we'll keep on growing it. When we set this up as a team, it was an investment in journalism. We did it because we believed in the role and the value of journalism in society, and particularly the role of business journalism for what it can achieve, to show, as I said, when I was called a couple of weeks ago, to showcase the best of people. And I think we've seen that over the last year with the efforts of so many businesses and entrepreneurs to maintain staff numbers, to innovate and to push their businesses in different directions. I think we've also seen, and what business journalism is about, is shining a light on the worst. And I think Tom has done some outstanding stuff, as of others on the panel here today, in relation to Davy, which is business at the other end of the spectrum. But we see that as our role in the currency, to keep on highlighting both the best and the worst. And we look forward, we're only 2 years in, it's only the start of a long-term journey, and we're very committed to this for the long term. And as we get a little bit older, a little bit more mature, hopefully as a company, we'll hire more people, bring in more columnists, bring in more writers, and increase the breadth and scope of what we do here. So on behalf of Tom and myself, I just want to thank UCD for this award, to recognise the work of all of the other brilliant business journalists out there, and just really to say thank you. We really are humbled and honoured to receive this award. So thank you all very, very much.
Congratulations, guys. I'm reminded of the analogy that I think it was Samuel Johnson said about what was it, dogs walking on hind legs, that it is remarkable that not that it is done well, but that it is done at all. And I think if what the currency had achieved was simply creating an entirely new subscriber-based forum for business journalism in Ireland, you would say, well, okay, that in itself is great. But for it to be 2 years in and award-winning and providing the kind of value and the kind of content that you do in a format that isn't just newspapers moved online, but that is in and of itself sui generis, or sui generis, I should say, it is a remarkable achievement. So big congratulations to you both. It is well deserved, and the judges were effusive in their praise for what you've achieved in a very short space of time. And we look forward to seeing what happens in the coming years. That's Tom and Ian there for the currency, who are the Outstanding Achievement for Industry Award winners for 2021. Now, finally, I want to hand over to Donal O'Donovan, who is chair of the Business Journalist Association, to say a few words in closing.
The chair of the Business Journalist Association and business editor of the Irish Independent. I'm going to be very quick. I don't think anyone gets thanked for adding to the length of Zoom calls these days. I really just want to thank UCD Smurfit Business School, the head of the College of Business, Tony Brabazon, and the Associate Dean, Gerdy Doyle, in particular, all the staff, the faculty and the students, really for choosing to hold these awards and to continue to hold these awards. It's a huge effort, a huge amount of organisation. And in particular for persisting with this during COVID, that's something that's appreciated, and I suppose I just want to say that. I'd also like to thank the jury, who've been marshalled by the indefatigable chair, Bríd O'Donoghue. Being on any kind of a jury is a big commitment of time and of mental energy, and that is appreciated, not just by the people who happen to win this year or in a given year, but I think by the industry more widely. So thank you for everyone who's given their time and their thought to these awards. The pandemic means that we don't get to celebrate together as a group this year. And it's changed, I suppose, a lot about how we've been working now for really 2 years. I suppose these awards hopefully are a reminder of better times to come and better times behind us. But also that, lots of things change, but the things that are really important in terms of how journalism works and what journalism is, they don't change really. So by sticking to very basic principles and standards, we hope that we, as a group of people, produce reporting that's fair and accurate and properly sourced and verified, analysis that's robust and honest, and important things like the clear demarcation between what is editorial, what is reporting and analysis, and what's commercial remains clear. And we've had lots of changes in technology. We're seeing lots of changes in the revenue models for our industry, but those things, those kind of touchstones of good quality journalism don't change. So this is a good reminder of that. Congratulations to this year's winners. A special thank you to those of you who made these awards possible, who make these awards possible. Thank you very much.
Donald, thank you very much. And just to pick up on one bit of what Donald said, he commended the judges for the amount of work and time that it takes. The corollary of that is the judges get to see the sheer breadth and spectrum and quality of work that is produced across the Irish journalism industry in a given year. It is remarkable when you get a chance to look at it in its totality, both for that breadth, but also for the quality that is present across all of the categories and the depth of that quality. Well, that concludes the UCD Smurfit Business School Journalist Awards for 2021. We will, fingers crossed, if we haven't gotten to Zeta, Eta, Theta, or whatever other Greek letters are left, if this time next year is a little bit more normal, hopefully all of the winners of this year and next year will be able to celebrate together. Big thank you for your online attention and attendance. I know that gifts were sent out in advance of the ceremony, so I'm hoping they all reached you so that everybody can raise a virtual glass. And we send obviously our heartfelt congratulations to today's finalists and winners. Have a safe, happy, enjoyable Christmas, and we wish you the absolute best for 2022. Bye-bye.